Today we are going to talk about binge eating and comfort eating, stress eating, all that nasty shit. Alright, now I know there's a lot of people struggle with this, man. This is a thing that I struggled with for a long time. So if this applies to you, if this is something you struggle with, then this is the video for you. It is a difficult one, alright? It's tough because food is such a fucking cunty thing. It really is, alright? It's like that, especially if this is a case where you've got a kind of food addiction going on. It's one of those things. It's not like alcohol or drugs or any of those, like porn, whatever other addictions you've got going on. It's not like you can just stop it and say, right, that's it, I'm just not going to have that. I'm going to distance myself from it. Because if you do that, you'll die. All right. So we need to have food. We have to have food. It's one of these things. It's like the only vice or the only addictive thing that we've got in the world that we really can't just say, oh, well, I've had enough of that now, I'm not going to do any more, right? When I stopped really taking pills and smoking weed and all that kind of stuff, I just distanced myself from it. I just cut it from my life because it no longer fitted with who I was. Alcohol, I stopped drinking now 2 months ago. I've not had a drop of alcohol since the start, maybe 3 months ago now actually. Since the start of summer, because I can't deal with hangovers. So I've just distanced myself from that. I've had a couple of non-alcoholic beers, I quite enjoy that. But drinking and me are done, right? I've just distanced myself from it. I can't do that with food, all right? We just can't. Food's used for so many different things. So this whole subject, man, is actually a really deep subject, all right? There's so much involved with it, and you'll see what I mean by that in a second when I start breaking it down. Today we're going to talk about comfort, stress eating, binge eating, all those kind of things, all right? So one thing I do want to say, right, if you're watching this right now and you're just the kind of guy that sits in the house and you get bored of your tits and you're like, do you know what, I'm just going to eat those biscuits that are in the cupboard, all right, that's a different subject. That's just boredom eating, all right, and of course there are strategies around about that. Like one of my biggest things that I say to people all the time is control your environment, all right. You need to be controlling your environment. So if you've got crisps and sugary biscuits and chocolate and all that kind of shit lying about your house, you're much more likely to go and then eat it, all right. But that's not so much a binge eat or a comfort eat. You're not doing that in a response to feeling. You're doing that because you've just got food there and you're bored. Like if you put chocolate in front of me right now, like yes, I will binge eat it. I'll stuff my face with it because I absolutely fucking love chocolate. But that's a different thing, man. That's just like, there's chocolate there. Oh, I'll have a fucking piece and I'll stuff it. It's a totally different thing. I'm not doing it because I'm stressed out. Like, it's totally different. Stress eating, comfort eating, like eating away your feelings, all those kind of things, that can be a deeper subject. So what I will say before I really dive into this, because here's the thing, there are 4 reasons for binge eating. Not just eating because the food's there, not boredom eating. Sitting in the house and then just pulling out the Doritos and like, just mindlessly eating them. That's just boredom eating, right? It's just habitual stuff. There's tactics to that as well, but that's not for this video. But there are four main reasons that you binge eat, comfort eat, stress eat, whatever you want to kind of look at. There are 4 main reasons for that, all right? And that's what we're going to dive into in this video. Now, 2 of them are pretty deep, all right? So when we do the masterclass later, those are the ones that we're going to really dive into. Hey, Daniel, thanks for tuning in, man. All right, so before I do dive into these, what I am going to say, all right, and I say this a lot to people, if you have a very addictive relationship with food, where you're heavily addicted to food, it's causing you real problems and you're really, really stressed out about it and you find yourself always latching onto food and it's a real problem for you, then please go and speak to a therapist, all right? That is the most important thing I can possibly say to you. Go and speak to a therapist because there's a lot underlying there. There's a lot of different things going on and it's out with my scope, all right? It's not what I deal with. I can give you some general advice, but to try and say, yeah, I can fix that for you would be completely fucking irresponsible, all right? And that is not my jam. That's not what I want to do. I want to see you get better. So please, if that is the situation that you have real issues around certain foods or you have like a real horrible relationship with food where you cannot fucking sit in the same room as a jar of peanut butter without being elbow deep in it and fucking rub it on yourself, please go and see a therapist, all right? There is no shame in it and it will absolutely help and it will change your life. These people are fucking good at what they do and they'll definitely be able to help to get you on the right track. But with that being said, some of these tips that we're going to start to put into practice or we're going to talk about today might really help you and might benefit you, all right? So you'll have to forgive me because I've still got a knackered shoulder, so if you see me kind of like fanning around, it's because I can't really use my arm all that well. So we're going to split my board into 4 pieces, all right? So I'm going to go into 4 bits. So, and I've got my notes as well so I don't go off track, all right? Because I tend to ramble sometimes, all right? So the first thing, all right, so there's, like I said earlier, there are 4 reasons that you binge eat, right? 2 of them are actually really fucking easy to deal with. 2 of them are really easy to deal with and to break down, all right? So the number 1, all right, so number 1 is, oh fucking hell, man, I can't write, all right, you're not eating enough, all right? So number one is you're not eating enough. So what this tends to show up as, right? So number one is you're not eating enough. Well, actually, I'm going to break them all down initially. All right, I'll tell you what they all are first, and then we'll break them down. Otherwise, I'll just go off on a tangent. So number one is you're not eating enough, and I'll explain that in a second. The second one, all right, is too much restriction. Now I know you're going to say they're the same thing. They're not. They're totally not. Not eating enough is not eating enough food. Too much restriction is saying, I can't have chocolate, I can't have beer, I can't have this. You're restricting yourself, you're not allowing yourself things. So the next one is too much restriction. Guys, I don't know if you can see these or not, all right? If you can't see them, I do apologise. It's like my camera's not the best. I don't know how that's going to show up at your end, but obviously I'm telling you what they are. So the first one is you're not eating enough food. The next one is too much restriction. These ones are really easy to deal with, all right? So the next one after that, number 3, this is a better height, I can write down here, right? Number 3 is that you're eating away your feelings, all right? So it's emotional. So number 3 is it's emotional. Emotional, all right? So this would be you're eating because you're feeling anxious, you've got a lot of anxiety going on, or you're stressed, or you've had something really bad happen in your life, so you're stuffing your face to kind of hide up your feelings. This one gets a bit deep. This one's not quite so easy to deal with. And this is where I was speaking about, if you've got really heavy food addictions and it's related to this stuff, you need to maybe go and speak to a therapist if it's really bad. If it's not at that stage where it's a massive addiction that you've got, and it's just occasionally you're like, oh man, you know what, like, I've had something really bad happen at work, I'm going to sit down with this packet of hobnobs and stuff my face. Then we can kind of work with that, all right? And I've got a couple of strategies for you. And then number 4 is it's to do with your identity. All right, identity. Is that right? Was spelled right? Fuck, I don't know. All right, so the next one is to do with identity, who you see yourself as. All right, and again, this is quite a big one. All right, so right, let's break them down first and foremost. And this is important. This is really important because you need to know which one is your kind of bingey thing. All right. It's reversed. Right, hang on. Let me try and fix that. Hang on a wee second. I don't know if it'll work while I'm mid talk. There we go. How's that? Is that better? Let me know if that's better. Schoolboy error. See, I've not done these for ages, man. Totally forgot it does that. Can you read them now? Can you let me know if you can read them? So first one up here is you're not eating enough calories. All right. Next one is you're in too much of a restriction, so it's not the same thing. You're cutting down on certain foods, right? So you're not allowing yourself cookies, donuts, chocolate, cake, whatever the hell it may be. Next one is emotional. These two are the biggies, and then obviously identity. All right. So, like I was saying, it's really important that you establish which of these is causing you to binge eat or to comfort eat, all right? Find out which one it is that's causing the problem. Now, it might be a combination of all of them. That's totally cool, all right? But it's really vital that we discover which one of these is causing us the problem. So let's look at this one first, all right? The not eating enough. This one's really easy to deal with, all right? Now, how this is going to show up, and this is where I get a lot of problems with people that, maybe not so much my clients that I work with, but certain people that come to me for advice and I ask them, maybe, give me a rundown of what your day looks like. Wow, well, I really don't eat that much. Like, I hardly eat anything. I have like a really small bowl of cereal in the morning. I don't eat anything when I'm at work, man. I just power straight through, and then, I get to my dinner, I'll have chicken and some veg and some chips or whatever for my dinner, and then after that, man, I'm just like stuffing my face full of shite. Yeah, it's because you've eaten next to nothing through the day. So your body's just like, give me fucking food. Like, feed me for goodness sake. All right, and what tends to happen is, because it's later in the night, it's the witching hour, you start reaching for all the shite of the day. So you start reaching for crisps and chocolate bars and biscuits and cake. All of those things are what we call they're not high nutrition. They've not got a lot of nutrition. All right, they're calorie dense foods. Those are calorie dense foods. They're not nutrient dense foods. That's the word I was looking for. All right, they're calorie dense food, and what I mean by that is they don't have a lot of high nutritional value. So when you eat them, they're not very satiating. They don't really tend to fill you up. They'll maybe like they'll kind of do all right in the moment. You're like, that was all right, that was good. But how many times have you ever how many times have you felt hungry and you've reached for a bag of crisps or you've reached for a chocolate biscuit, you have it thinking it's going to help your hunger, but then all of a sudden you're hungry again? It's because there's not a lot of nutritional value in there, right? There's nothing to kind of fill you up. So you end up overeating on that stuff. And because it's so high in calories, it then becomes super easy to overeat. So you might think, but I'm really not eating that much, man. I only have a really small breakfast and then I don't have anything through the day. I'm working hard all day. And then, I get to night time, I have my dinner, and then I only have like a few snacks and whatever else. But if you really break down the snacks and you look at it, it's like, well, do you know what, man? You had fucking 4 hobnobs, a family bag of Doritos, you had 2 chocolate bars, and then you had 3 cans of Coca-Cola. it's a massive calorie bomb. All right, you're probably looking at the best part over 1,000 calories just in that alone. All right, so it really comes down to kind of looking at what you're eating. So this is where when I try and say to people, sometimes when I say this to some clients that come on to work with me, you need to eat more food. They look at me like I've got two heads. They're like, no, man, I'm trying to lose weight. I don't need to eat more food. No, you need to eat more food, like proper, real food. All right, get yourself eating more food, because when you eat more food, what you tend to find is you fill your body up. So I always recommend getting protein in at breakfast, like have a very protein heavy breakfast, then have a protein based lunch. Then for your dinner, make sure you're getting protein in there, and then have a snack in between times. Again, make sure it's protein, all right? And if you look at that, you're balancing out through your course of your day, which means you're satisfying your body through the course of the day. So when you then get to night time, you're probably not going to be anywhere near as hungry, right? So you're not going to feel the need to then go and start stuffing your face full of all this shit of the day. But going back to the control and the environment part, if this is what you're doing, and then you're finding yourself at night time stuffing your face full of shit, control your environment. All right, get rid of all this shit food that's in your house. I'm not saying you can't have it. We are going to talk about this in the masterclass, that, you know, this comes into the restriction thing. Oh no, Iain said I can't have crisps. No, you can have fucking crisps. But instead of like buying loads of crisps for your house and then saying, oh, I need it for the kids, don't do that, man. Like, just go, like, if you want a bag of crisps, go and take a walk to the shop and buy a bag of crisps. Not a huge big bag this size that you're going to sit and inhale in the course of 10 minutes. Like, have a bag of crisps and be like, I quite fancy a bag of crisps, or I quite fancy a chocolate bar. Walk to the shop and buy a chocolate bar. All right, if your kids are old enough that they can walk to the shop and get a chocolate bar themselves, send them to the shop and get a chocolate bar. If they're not, tell them to wait till the weekend till you buy them a chocolate bar. All right, so saying it's for the kids is just a pile of fucking nonsense for you actually meaning I'm buying it for myself. All right, let's be honest about it. So the easiest fix for this, the simple fix for this, is to eat more food through the day. All right, so eat more food. And as counterintuitive as that sounds, it's actually a really easy fix. All right, it'll probably put you on a much better path when it comes to long-term weight loss. All right, so what's Rab saying? I've seen myself smash a whole family bag of crisps. Dude, it's easy done. See, if you give me a bar of Galaxy, like give me the biggest bar of Galaxy you can possibly give me, and sit it in front of me. If I have one square, it's game over. I'll eat the whole fucking thing in one shot. All right, because it's hyper palatable food. And here's the thing, that's not your fault. It really isn't. All right, well, it kind of is. It is your fault in the sense that you bought it and sat down with it in the first place. But the fact that you can't stop on stuffing your face with it is not your fault. Right, the companies that make a tombstone of Galaxy, dude, I could eat that. Like, no word of a lie, man, I could eat that. Right, the companies that make these products, that make these things, they pay people hundreds of thousands of pounds every single year to make these foods super tasty, to have the perfect melt point for the chocolate, to have the perfect crunch point with the right amount of flavour on the crisps that just makes you want to keep going back. The right combination of sugar and salt and fat to make you keep on going back. All right, £3 in Spar, I'm going there, man. I'm going there. That's my treat for the weekend. I'm having no dinner. I'm going to have a tombstone of Galaxy. All right, but so that part's not your fault. The minute you start on it, it's going to make you want to keep on going back, and it just fires up all these wee synapses in your brain that makes you go, give me more of that, give me more of that. It was really good. Right? You can't control that, man. It's just an urge that you've got. But if you're not eating through the course of the day and you're starving yourself, your body then automatically is like, I need food, man. I need sustenance. I need to eat. You need to feed me. So you then start wanting to go and eat. So the simple fix is start balancing your meals through the day. This is why I hate the whole fasting thing, man. Like, I've tried fasting. It works for some people. If it works for you, fucking all the power to you, man. I've tried it. I do the whole fat and I still use it sometimes, occasionally. But if I fast in the morning, man, I end up a ravenous pig by the time it comes to night time. I'm stuffing my face full of all kinds of shit because I'm hungry, right? My body's hungry, man. So for me, I need to balance it through the day. I have a good hearty breakfast. I have a well-balanced lunch, and then I have my dinner. I'm going down for my dinner after this video, right? Which is going to, because I had a bigger lunch today, I'm having loads of chicken. My wife's just got these katsu curry chicken fillet things. Oh, they look good. I'm going to have them with a pile of veg. All right, so I'm just balancing everything out. But then after my dinner, I won't feel the need to go and eat because I'm full, I'm stuffed, I'm not hungry anymore. All right. Okay, so that's the first part. I was super clear on that. All right, that if you're not eating, and this is why I said we have to get clear on why you're doing it. We have to get clear on why you're doing it. All right, because if you're binging at night just because you're not eating enough through the day, then we have got a super easy fix. This one's the same, all right? And again, when we do the masterclass where we talk about food freedom, this is where this one will really come into its own, because this is where a lot of people lose their shit. These are the ones that are more difficult. All right, so what do I mean by too much restriction? All right, so this is a big, big problem. So if you're going through your life, and this is why diets are shit, because they tell you, you can't eat this food if you want to lose weight. You cannot eat sugar. You can't have pizza. You can never have a beer. Don't eat that food because it's bad for you. Right? Don't eat that food because it's bad for you. You should eat more of this because that's good for you. This is good food, that's bad food. All that's doing is really creating a really shitty, negative relationship with food. All right, and here's the question, man. I ask this all the fucking time. If you tell a child, right, if you've got a toddler, right, if you've got a small kid in your household right now, you know this is true. Don't touch that. What do? Straight away. I pulled something out of the oven the other day. I shit you not. I pulled something out of the oven. Like the oven, like we open the oven door and this big wall of heat comes out. It's like, whoa, right? And I put the thing on the counter that had Cameron's dinner in it, and I said, right, Cameron, whatever you do, don't touch that because it's roasting hot. You'll burn yourself. So stay back from that. And I'll put your dinner on a plate in a minute. And I went away and I'd done something. I turned around and she's going, finger straight on the porcelain thing, and then went, huh, and then looked at me and went, as if to say, how could you do that to me? It's like, I fucking told you. I told you it was going to be hot. But she'd done it anyway. So then we had to run our finger under the cold tap. All right, because in her head was like, Daddy's told me not to do that. Well, do you know what, man? I can fucking touch that if I want. You've got one of them living inside your head. And when you say, you can't have that cookie, fucking watch me. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to want the cookie. And that is why restrictive diets don't work. Because they cut out all of the things that you love eating, they cut them all out. They have you living this super boring, bland, shitty life, telling you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't have the next thing. You'll maybe do alright at it for like 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden, John's just came into the office with donuts. I love donuts. Oh, look at that big chocolate one. I love a chocolate donut. Oh man, what am I going to do? I can't have it. 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 I can't eat that. No, I definitely can't eat that. Oh my God. And then before you know what's going on, you've got a donut on each finger and you're eating a lot. And you've ate the whole thing. So you then end up this massive binge because you've just stuffed your face full of all this shite under the sun. And then you've got to start the whole process again. Right? So a simple fix for that is, let's just build that shit into your diet. All right, so instead of restricting all the foods and cutting things out and saying, I can't eat that, I can't have that, it's not in my diet, I'm not allowed to eat that. Instead of doing that, why not just build it into your diet so you don't have that same craving? All right, so make room for the foods you love. All right, now does that mean you can just sit and eat pizza all day and chips all day and curry all day? Because I love pizza and I love chips and I love curry. Well, you could, but it's probably not going to serve you from a weight loss perspective. All right, but could you have a chicken curry once a week, like from the Chinese? Yeah, 100%. Rock on. Could you do it every single night? Yeah, you could, but you're probably going to have to make some sacrifices elsewhere. All right, so why not maybe like learn to make that shit at home? Why not have like a breakfast that you enjoy? Like you don't have to eat like really boring, bland breakfasts. Like have things you enjoy. Like I had porridge this morning with like almond butter and bananas and honey and stuff. It was fucking brilliant. It was amazing. Like the last couple of days I've had this big Greek yogurt thing. It was really good. Like sometimes I'll have scrambled eggs with bacon and chicken sausages and it's fucking good. I enjoy it. It's tasty. All right. For my lunch I had chili with toast. Like I made homemade chili with turkey mince and I made like 2 big slabs of bread with it. It was absolutely brilliant. I enjoy it. It's like it's healthy enough food. I make it at home. It's tasty. It's things that I enjoy. Like at the weekend, I might have a Chinese. We'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But you can still have these things, but you have to make sure you're building them into your diet. Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing and you cut everything out, you're only going to crave it later, and then that's going to send you in a massive downward spiral. All right. Does that make sense, guys? I want to know that makes sense, all right? And that, like I say, this part here is the part that most folk lose their shit with, because the minute I say to them, I don't know, I want you to go and eat donuts. Okay, oh fuck, I can't do that, man. I can't do that. Like, oh, my last diet told me I can't do that. Well, I'm telling you, I want you to go and do it. All right, I want you to go and do it. Just be fucking sensible about it. All right, just don't be like making that the mainstay of your diet every single day. All right. Okay, so does that make sense? Give me a hell yes in the chat and let me know. Right. These next two are where it gets deep. All right, and like I say, I'm not going to dive too much into them today because it can get a bit much. All right, but when I do the masterclass, when we start talking about the masterclass, I'm going to really dive into these a bit more deeply. All right, so the first one, emotional eating. This is where something happens in your life and your response is to go and start stuffing your face full of food, all right? It's to go and just grab the closest thing to you and be like, oh man, you know what, I'm just going to start eating. I'm just going to eat this. I've had a stressful day at work. Do you know what? I'm going to eat this food here. I'm going to reach for the ice cream. All right, I'm going to have that, whatever your food is, whatever your thing is. Like mine, when I used to suffer from this, it was chocolate. All right, and I still get this a little bit around about chocolate because I see myself as a person that can't control chocolate. All right, so but we'll get to that in a second. So if you have one of those days where you come home from work, the kids are going nuts, or the boss has been a dick at work, or you've had an argument with your wife, or like the fucking goldfish has died, or the hamster's died, whatever it is that's happened. And your way of dealing with that is to say, just give me that food and let me eat. That is where you've then got an emotional problem with food. All right, that's where you're then not in control of the food's in control of you. And that is what you're reaching for. Now, again, this isn't necessarily your fault. All right, it's not necessarily your fault because this is something that has probably happened when you were a kid. All right, and this is something that as a parent, you can now start to get control of for your own kids to help them manage this a little bit better. So, how many times, like my mum does this, my mum still does this yet. I'm having to try and coach my mother out of this behaviour, right? When Cameron bangs a knee or bumps her head or falls over, Granny will go up, oh my wee darling, it's okay. Oh, you're okay. Do you know what, I'll make it better. Come on, I'll get you a chocolate biscuit. No, don't fucking do that. No, don't do that. My mum and dad both do it. All right, and people do this shit all the time, man. All right, oh no, do you know that some ice cream will make you feel better? No, it fucking won't. Maybe in the moment, but it's not like that's not why she's crying. She's not like, I've scraped my knee, do you know what I need? I need some fucking ice cream. No, the kid needs a cuddle. She needs a cuddle. Like she just fell and scraped her knee. She needs you to pick her up and give her a cuddle and tell her that she's going to be okay. Like give her a cuddle and just nurse her. Give her some love. Give her some affection. That's what she needs in that moment. Like if you were standing outside right now and a car went bucketing down the street and knocked down a cat, like the next door neighbour's cat, the wee boy next door's cat. The wee boy's beside himself with grief. Oh my cat. The last thing he fucking wants is ice cream. Like you're not going to be like, it's okay, Johnny. Don't worry about it, mate. It's cool. I've got the Ben and Jerry's. Here you go. Save the day. Yeah, you feel so much better. No, his fucking cat has died. The wee guy needs a cuddle. Like he needs to be consoled. He needs to be held and comforted. All right, you have that inner child inside you as well. You need to be holding yourself and comforting yourself a little bit. The reason that you're emotionally eating, the reason that you're slipping into this is because it's uncomfortable to sit with your feelings. So when you're feeling overly stressed or overly anxious or something bad's happened, like it's difficult to just sit there and be like, oh fuck, right, I need to just acknowledge that's happened because it's painful. But who's ever been through a relationship breakup? Who's ever been through a relationship breakup? Like my go-to with that stuff, it wasn't really food, if I'm being honest. I did have a wee bit of that, a little bit. But my go-to was smoking weed, man, and getting drunk, and then later on was taking pills. So before I met Hazel, my girlfriend before that was like, she was my best friend for a long time. We ended up together, then we had a breakup, and man, it broke my heart. It was the first time I had a relationship breakup that I was so heavily affected by. Previous to that, I was a bit of a player, so it was like, whatever, man, cool, whatever. I didn't care. But this one really hit me, man. It really fucking hit me, and I dealt with that by getting steaming drunk all the time and by getting stoned out my head. All right, because I didn't want to sit with that emotion. I couldn't sit with it, man. I hated it. And then, like when I was stoned and drunk, I'd get my PlayStation out. I'll just play this game, man. I'll play this game because I didn't want to sit with the feeling because it was fucking horrible. It was nasty. It felt shit. All right, so my go-to was to then go and do something to try and distract myself from that feeling. And that's why we find ourselves emotionally eating, because it's uncomfortable to sit with those feelings. All right, but here's the thing, man. We have to understand that it's okay to feel shit. All right, it's okay to feel shit, man. It's okay to feel down. Right, what's not okay is to try and suppress that, because then when you suppress it, it then creates more problems moving forward. Right, so we don't want to be suppressing that shit. You cannot suppress it. You have to allow the feelings to come. Now, there's a bunch of different ways you can do that. You can just let cry, man. Like let it out, have a good cry, talk to somebody about it, like get it off your chest. But whatever you do, don't be like, do you know what, man? I've had this really shit time. Do you know? I'm just going to eat fucking crisps. I'm going to eat chocolate. I'm going to eat. Like, don't do that. Right, because if you do that, you're just shoving it to the side and you're putting yourself in a really shit situation where you're going to find it then difficult to climb back out of that hole. And the negative aspect of that is you then start putting on weight. All right, so looking back to my example, If every time I'm feeling shit, I reach for alcohol or reach for drugs, people would automatically go, oh, that's bad, man. You get like, don't do that. Don't do that. But if we're having if we're having a shitty time when it comes to our emotions and our feelings, but we reach for food, people are like, oh, it's okay, man, it's okay, and they'll fucking facilitate that. They'll bring you more food. Like, have some more crisps here. Have another bowl of ice cream. Like, fuck off, man. Like, we need to stop that feeling. We need to stop that behaviour. All right. So, how do we fix that shit? All right. And like I say, man, this is very surface level right now because I don't want to take up the whole night. When I do the masterclass, I'll start really diving into this shit. All right, really kind of starting to break it down. But there's a couple of things that we can do. Right. This is a couple of exercises that I do for myself with my own feelings because I admittedly now I don't reach for food. What I use my thing for now is the gym, and this is something I say to my client. If I find myself in a situation where I'm really kind of pent up, if I'm stressed, I'm feeling like, oh man, I'll go to the gym. But that's also not healthy because I'm then, oh, the gym's my therapy. That's not healthy because again, I'm suppressing feeling. So I need to learn to sit and stop and say, right, okay, what is going on, man? Why do I actually feel this way? All right, so here's what I want you to do. All right, here's what I want you to do. There's two things you can do, all right, and they're both uncomfortable. All right, the first thing is to meditate. All right. Meditate. Now, what I mean by meditate is, man, you might not be the kind of person that likes to sit there with the lights off with yogic music on and going, you know, it might not be your thing. Cool, it's not my thing either, all right? But meditating doesn't have to be sitting there with your eyes shut, cross-legged in full lotus position with the lights out and incense going all around about you. It doesn't have to be that way, all right? It can just be sitting for 5 minutes and just thinking, man. Just sitting with your thoughts and being comfortable sitting with your thoughts. Just sit down for 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you can muster, and just sit with your thoughts. Now, I know what you're going to say. Oh, no, man, I can't do that. My mind races all over the place. Yeah, cool, man, so does mine. My brain does not ever stop, like, honestly, man. It's non-stop. And I think sometimes I used to always think, people's brains aren't like mine. Like, there's no way anybody's brain's like mine. I'm just constantly switched on. My brain's bouncing here and doing that. People are just not like me. Yes, we are, man. We're all the same. I've got news for you, man. You're not special. You're special to your mum and your dad, but you're not special, right? We're all the same, man. My brain is just on all the time, all right? People will come to me all the time and say, oh, you don't understand how my brain works. Yeah, I do. Yes, I fucking do, all right? 100% I do, all right? So sitting down with your thoughts, if you can get your mind to go clear, amazing. But don't fight yourself to try and get your mind to go clear because that's you then just suppressing the feelings. Sit down and just acknowledge how you're feeling. Just be aware of how you're feeling. How does it make my body feel? Like, how's my head feeling right now? Like, what the fuck is going on? Where am I at? Like, what has actually just happened? Okay, cool. This has happened in my life, right? Is it the worst thing that's ever happened in my life? Probably not. All right, am I going to get through this? Yes, I am. Right? Can I just stop now and just take 5 or 10 deep breaths? Right? And you don't need any special equipment. You don't need anything for this. Just sit and just be happy sitting with your thoughts. Jeff's saying, strongly recommend the Headspace app. 100%, the Headspace app is brilliant, right? Or go on YouTube and look up some breathing exercises. Look up some breathwork exercises. There's actually a training in this group that we did with Rhys Strathern where we spoke about breathwork, and he does a couple of very small exercises at the end. But honestly, man, that shit is life-changing. It's really good. I do breathwork every single morning now for about maybe 10, 15 minutes, and it's really intentional breathing. But it just helps to kind of balance me and bring me back into me. All right, instead of kind of waking up and automatically your brain's fucking whizzing all over the place, it just lets you start your day in a nice settled way. All right, so if you're getting through your day and then you're coming home at night and you're already like, oh my God, fuck, I'm stressed, I'm this, I'm that, I'm anxious, oh man, what do I do? Whoa, stop for a minute. Right, what is going on, man? Just recenter yourself. Get a moment and recenter yourself. And this next part is the big one, all right? Here's the big one. Write it all down. Write it all down, man, right? Start journaling. Get yourself a book. Right, I don't have mine here with me. Right, get yourself a book, a piece of paper, whatever it is. Actually, there's 2 ways of doing this, man, all right? You can put it all in a book and then you've got to document it's all there. Right? So what I do with my clients, and again, there's a training on this in the group that I'm more than happy to tag you in. Just write down on a piece of paper, what am I feeling right now? And you might not be feeling anything, or you might not feel like you're feeling anything, but then as soon as you write it, just write down, like, what am I feeling right now? I'm not feeling anything right now. But Iain said this would help, so I'm going to do it anyway. But do you know what though, actually, I am feeling a wee bit stressed and anxious. Well, this happened at my work today and it actually caused me a bit of fucking grief. It really, really pissed me off. And do you know what, man? This is how I reacted to that. And yeah, man, do you know what, man? Actually, that's made me really fucking annoyed, because this kind of shit happens all the time. Right, why do I get annoyed by that? Well, because I feel like I'm not being heard, or I feel like this is happening. Just write it down, get it all out. As soon as it comes out of there, it's liberating, man. It's so freeing. Get it out of your head and get it on paper. Now, you can either document that and keep it in your journal. I wouldn't recommend going back and reading it, because that's just then like regressing, going back. Or if it's on a piece of paper, fucking burn it. Alright, or rip it up, tear it up, put it in the bin, because you don't need it anymore. It's not serving you. Alright, but you have to understand that the more comfortable you can get with your feelings, the much more likely you are to control what you're doing from an emotional eating standpoint. Alright, but you have to be comfortable sitting in those feelings. It's okay not to feel okay. It's totally okay not to feel okay. Everybody feels not okay. Right? When kids start crying, when kids start screaming, the worst thing you could ever do to them is to say, stop fucking crying. Don't get me wrong, man, sometimes you do. Like my wee girl does this wee thing where she's like, daddy, daddy, and she just gurns for no reason. It's like, right, enough, stop the gurning, I'm not listening to that. But if she's genuinely upset, if she's genuinely crying, if she's genuinely like really, really upset, the last thing I want to be doing is going into a room and go, fucking shut up, that's enough, get that stopped. Enough of the crying, and I don't want to hear any more of it. Because that is so damaging to them psychologically, it's unreal. That used to happen to me as a kid. I wasn't allowed to cry. I got told that I was a pansy by my dad if I cried. When I went to the school, I got beat up and bullied because I cried. I then turned that feeling into aggression. So I then started fighting everybody. All right, it's not a good way to be. I then became a completely different person where I just wanted to fight everybody all the time. All right, so suppressing emotions, it's not a good thing. You have to be willing and comfortable to sit in those emotions, and that's then going to allow you the freedom to start moving past those emotions. All right, guys, does that make sense? All right, let me know if that makes sense. Give me a hell yes on that if that makes sense. And again, I'm going through these quite quickly just now because they can be quite deep. All right, they can be quite a deep subject. And there's a lot more to them. And when we do the masterclass, when I go through the masterclass, I'll invite you all onto the Zoom with me. And if you've got any questions, anything you want to talk about, we'll bring them up in that masterclass. But let me know if that makes sense. All right, let me know where you're at. Just give me a hell yes in the chat. Awesome, Steve, man. I'm glad it makes sense. Okay, so last one is the identity. Right, again, this is a big one. Right, this is huge, because whatever you see yourself as is what you take action as. All right, human beings, we always default to what we see ourselves to be. All right, so if you're a person that right now that sorry, let me add into that. It's not just what you see yourself as. It's also to do with the stories you tell yourself over and over. Right, that's why I've got my notes. I forgot that part. All right, so it's who you see yourself as, or the stories that you keep on telling yourself over and over and over and over again. All right, so let me give you an example of that. All right, excuse me. Have you ever said to yourself, I'm just a fat lazy bastard? All right, if you keep on saying that to yourself over and over and over again, guess what's going to happen? You're going to take action as a fat lazy bastard. If you say to yourself, I'm a binger, I'm a binger, I am a binger, that you're telling yourself you're a binger. So what then tends to happen is, if you start losing weight, if you start making progress, all of a sudden the belief, the identity, the story you've told yourself, this belief that you're holding on to in your head, because you don't know you're holding on to it, but subconsciously you are, you start making progress towards something different, the identity in your head goes, well, wait a minute, that doesn't match up. That doesn't match up. So all of a sudden self-sabotage comes in, because you don't know what it's like to be at that next stage. So automatically you start to say, well, wait a minute, I'm a binger. Like, I'm losing weight, I'm not binging. Nah, do you know what, man? Fuck, I'm going to go and stuff my face full of shit. Like, you'll sabotage yourself. If you keep on calling yourself a fat bastard, you'll get so far down the line, then before you know what's going on, somebody's going to offer you to go out for, come out for a couple of drinks with the boys. Cool, I'll do that. You go out for a couple of drinks with the boys, you have a couple of drinks, you end up with a kebab at the end of the night, then the guilt kicks in because you've had a kebab at the end of the night. Do you know what, man, I've ruined all my fucking progress. Well, might as well start again on Monday. Then Saturday goes out the window, Sunday goes out the window, you wake up Monday morning, you can't be fucking arsed because you feel like shit. Man, do you know what, man? Well, it's nearly the end of the month, I might as well just wait and I'll start afresh next month. Boof, sabotage, right back to the start. Binge eating starts in, emotional eating because you feel like shit because the guilt kicked in. All of a sudden you're back in this non-stop cycle. Alright, so when you identify as something, when you identify as being a certain way, you have to understand that you will always take action to meet that belief. All right, you will always take the action to meet the belief of the thing that you identify yourself as. Now, here's the fucking kicker. When you start to take, if you've got a negative belief about yourself in your head, it's only going to be a matter of time before you take a negative. So here's the belief, we'll just call it B. You have a negative belief, you'll take negative action. All right, eventually. You might do all right for a little while. This is why a lot of diets go a bit tits up, other than the things we already spoke about. Right, you take negative action because you don't believe that you can make that progress. As soon as you take negative action, you get negative results, which then feed your negative belief. And you know what, man? I can't lose weight. I've tried to lose weight so many times, man. I've never managed it. I just can't do it. I'm big boned. It's in my genes. Whatever the story is you're telling yourself, you just keep on going round in circles. Round in circles. But here's the thing. At any point in time, you can change that story in your head. You can absolutely change the story you've got running through your head. You can change the belief that you have about yourself. Right? It's just about talking that story in and changing it about yourself, changing what you think is true. Right? And again, here comes the exercise. All right. So if we go back to the kind of write it down part from the binge eating perspective, the emotional eating perspective, what I want you to do is write down all of the things that you think to be true about yourself, or all of the things, or write down the person that you think you are. All right, so write down everything about how you think you are. I'm fat, I'm lazy, I can't lose weight, I've tried so many times in the past, I just can't do it. Nothing ever works for me. All right, I'm big boned, it's in my genes, I've always been this way. All right, my metabolism's broken. Right, that's the fucking big one at the moment. Right, my metabolism's broken. Right, every coach in the world's trying to sell this broken metabolism. It's not a fucking toy. It doesn't break. It's not a piece of furniture. You can't just glue it back together. It doesn't break. All right. Everybody's using this. As we get older, my metabolism's slowed down, man. I'm getting too old. My metabolism's slowed down. All right. Yes, there are metabolic adaptations that happen in the body. Blah 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 blah. Not for this video, but. What is the story you're telling yourself? Hey John, thanks for tuning in, man. All right, so write down, what is the story you're telling yourself? What is the story you're telling yourself? All right, and then you need to look at that and say, is any of that true? Is it absolutely true? Okay, so let's use the one, I can't lose weight. Is that true? You might go, it is true, man. I've tried all the fucking diets. Have you tried all the diets? Is that 100% true? Right, have you tried absolutely everything? Because I'm going to go out there and say the answer is probably not. All right? If you say, oh, it's in my genes, do genetics play a part? Yeah, 100%. But let's look at this from a factual perspective. All right? If you've got a really overweight kid and we look at their parents and the parents are really overweight, is that because of the genetics? No, it's not. All right? 99.99999999999% of times, if we then start breaking down and having a look at the diets of those kids, the diets of the adults, they'd be fucking atrocious. They'd be all over the place. That's why the kids are overweight. It's got nothing to do with their genes. But unfortunately, because those kids will then have this story in their head all their life, I've struggled with weight my whole life, man. It's in my genes, right? Okay, tell me about that. My parents were overweight and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at pictures of their grandparents, stick thin. Stick thin. So it's not in your genes. It's that one section of your family that's got overweight, and then they've just fed their habits down to you. Change the habits, you'll change the life. All right, so write down what you think to be true about yourself. Write down the story, right? So, write down your story. Write your story, or beliefs. Beliefs. Write down the beliefs that you have about yourself right now. All right, let's get clear on those beliefs. Then, here's the next part. All right. Imagine if you were to go into a coma right now. This video ends and boof, you go in a coma. You wake up tomorrow morning and you've got no recollection who you are. None whatsoever. Like, oh, who the fuck is Iain Jack? Don't know. Right. What kind of person would you like to be? Right. Write down the kind of person you would like to be. What kind of things would you like to do? What kind of body would you like to have? How would you like your health to look? Right. Write that shit down, because that's the beliefs that you want to have in your life. And then start telling yourself that story on a daily basis. Just start telling yourself that story over and over again. Because here's the thing, man. All right. Write down your beliefs and then tell a new story, all right? Now here's the thing, right? I know what you're going to say. Oh, but Iain, it's not just that easy. It's not that easy to just tell myself a new story. It's not that easy, right? Granted, it's not. It takes time. It takes work, all right? But here's the thing, man. How long have you been holding on to your limiting beliefs? How long have you been holding on to the I can't story? I can't do this. I can't make that. I can't afford this. I can't do this. I can't lose weight. I'll never manage that. I'm not good enough. How long have you been holding on to that story? How long have you been telling yourself that story? All right, there's a thing that I remember, a thing that my mum used to say to me all the time, that a liar, a person that's a liar, will tell their lie so much that at some point they will then start to believe it. All right, because in their head it's true. And I've known people like this, man. It's like, it's fucking crazy to watch. But in their head, it's so true. All right, it's so true. In their head, that is the story. That is the belief. That is the pattern. That is what they believe to be true. But the reality is, it's not fucking true. They've just made it up. They've made some shit up that they just believe to be true. And even if you challenge them on it, they've then got cognitive dissonance that in their head, it's so fucking true that they cannot be told otherwise. The stories running through your head are exactly the same. They're fucking lies. They're just lies that you've been telling yourself over and over and over again. You can change the lie. You can change the story. All right, you absolutely can change that story. So write down what you want your life to look like. Now this, I've actually got a really good example of this in my own life. When I was, if you know any of my backstory at all, if you know kind of what I've done, if you're new to here, if you've not seen a lot of kind of my backstory, I'm not going to talk about it all just now, but I got. No, that was my wife coming upstairs with her phone. There's a little bit of it that I kind of spoke about earlier about drugs and alcohol. That was a big part of my life when I was younger. I got to 2009 and I had a massive mental breakdown, right? Massive, because I hated my life. I hated where I was at. And my mum actually gave me a video of the Secret, the film The Secret. Now, there's a book about this, there's a film about it, there's loads of different stuff. I took it really quite literally actually, and I tried to think I was going to levitate just by watching this video and doing everything it says. Like, oh man, if I just think it, it'll come true. Not quite how it works. But a big part of that video is it spoke about the mentality of people sitting going, why does this always happen to me? Why do bad things always happen in my life? Why is my life so shit? Why is this here? It's victim, 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 right? And the way the law of attraction works, people think it's some kind of magic thing. It's not, man. It's not woo-woo, right? But what happens is your brain's got a thing in it called the reticular activating system. So if you think about a thing for long enough and you're focused so much energy on this one thing and that's all you're thinking about, then you naturally start to see more of the same kind of thing. I had never seen these water bottles. Like, it sounds crazy. I'd never really seen them. I'd maybe seen one or two. I'd never seen these. My wife bought me one like a couple of months back. I see them everywhere. Everywhere. Is it magic? Have they just all of a sudden started to magic? I get ads on my computer about them. I get them everywhere. Everybody in the gym's got them. It's not magic. It's not been like, Ian's got one of those water bottles. Let's just flood the world with them. They've always fucking been there. I've just not been looking for them. Alright, because I was so focused on my own shit, my other water bottle that I had. Totally different. Alright? How many times you went to go and buy a car and you think it's the only fucking car that you like, that colour on the road? Oh, I've got this brand new Vauxhall Astra. It's a lovely shade of yellow. It looks amazing. It's got 5-spoke alloys and this and that. Yeah, oh yeah. Nobody else has got one. The minute you drive out the showroom with it, there's fucking yellow Astras everywhere. So, what's going on? Why is that? How's that? Is it magic? No. It's just that your brain wasn't looking for them before. Law of attraction, that's exactly how it works. When you are so focused on this negative identity you've got of yourself, you'll just take more action of that same person because the same kind of opportunities will keep on showing up in your life. And this is what The Secret talks about. If you want to change your life, you need to change the way you're thinking. Start thinking about better things. Start thinking about a better story that you can tell for yourself. And watch how much different opportunities will start showing up in your life. Not because they weren't there before, it's just because you're now looking for different things. Right? But when you change your identity, change the way that you see yourself, you can then start to change your life. All right? But if this is what your identity is based on, like I'm the kind of person, do you know what, man? I'm a binger. I love to eat food. I love to just stuff my face full of food all the time. I've got zero control around food. I've got no control around pizza. I didn't bring pizza near me. Like my story, don't bring chocolate near me because I've got no control over chocolate. There's my story. Right? So my change of story is I've got really good control over chocolate. The difference is I don't know if I want to have good control over chocolate because I like it. It's really good. All right, but start to change that belief. Start to change the story. Then you can start to change your life. All right, what's Steve saying here? Hang on. Oh, that makes so much sense, especially you're writing down and believing your own new story and creating a different identity. And yeah, man, listen, writing it all down, creating a different. This can work for everything in your life. I promise, it really can. Because if you look at what we're doing right now, like look at the identity we have in your own life, look at how you see yourself, and then ask yourself, okay, hang on a minute. Like, is that true? Is that really how I am? Is that who I want to be? Because if it's not who you want to be, change the fucking story. You are the author of your own story. You can change it at any time. The end hasn't been written yet. It's not. All right, the end of your story has not been written. What you do today affects the rest of your tomorrows. So start making better decisions now to meet up with an identity that you want to have for yourself. And I guarantee it's going to make such a massive fucking difference in your life. All right. Guys, that was a biggie. That's like 48 minutes, man. That's the longest training I think I've done in this group. All right, like I say, this is deep. All right, these two, piece of piss. Easy, all right? This one especially is the easiest one, all right? If you're really struggling with these two and you're not quite sure how much you should be eating, like, you know, if you're feeling really anxious, which is then leading to this shit about me saying go and eat donuts, then we need to have a chat. Like, reach out to me, let's have a chat. We've got a few other trainings I can maybe send your way that might get you on the right track, all right? So if you're not quite sure what to do with these, like, just to give you a heads up, we don't count calories in our program, all right? So, but I do have trainings that I can send you that would maybe help to show you how to portion your food properly, to make sure you're getting the right amount of food. So if these are the two things that you're struggling with, reach out and let me know. Send me a message and let me know, and I'll be more than happy to try and help. If these are the things you're struggling with, really take on board what I've said today, and keep an eye out for these ones here. All three are going to be in the Food Freedom Masterclass. We're going to show you how to fix this. All right, so it's going to show you how to bring donuts into your life without being anxious. Like, just go and eat the fucking donut, man, for goodness sake. We'll show you how to do that. We'll really dive into this. We'll take a deeper dive. A lot of it will be what we've already spoke about, but we'll dive. Start to speak about self-sabotage, why it happens. All right, we've already kind of touched on it a little bit here, how to break that pattern and not find yourself self-sabotaging anymore. So we are going to break that down on a much deeper level. All right, so listen, I hope that made some sense for you, right? If it did, go and just give me a wee hell yes in the chat and let me know, and I would love it if you would smash that love heart button. I know a few of you have been doing it already, but like I said earlier, Facebook will share this to more people in the group. If you hit that love heart button, the more times it gets hit, the more Facebook sees it as valuable content, and the more they'll then start to share it. All right, but yeah, so I hope you got some value from this. I would love to know your biggest takeaway. Let me know your biggest takeaway in the chat right now, all right? Or the biggest thing you're going to start to put into action, all right? Please don't just watch these and be passive, these trainings. I do these because I want to help. These trainings will help 100% if you put them into action. If you just watch them and go, that was really good, it'll go in one ear and straight out the other. You have to put it into action, all right? Please put it into action, do something with it, and I guarantee it's got the potential to change your life, all right? Listen, have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks, Steve, man. I really appreciate that, dude. Thank you so much for tuning in. Right, listen, have an amazing rest of your night. Wherever you're at in the world, be happy, be healthy, be safe. See you in the next one. Cheers.